The 2026 FIFA World Cup, jointly hosted by Canada, Mexico, and the United States, is the biggest edition of the tournament ever held. A total of 48 national teams are competing in 104 matches throughout the competition. The group stage is now underway. The eventual champions will need to play up to 8 matches to win the tournament, compared to the previous maximum of 7. Co-host nation Mexico began its campaign impressively with a 2-0 victory over South Africa in the opening match held in Mexico City. Mexico have looked the strongest so far, keeping a clean sheet and benefiting from home support as co-hosts. South Korea showed resilience by coming from a competitive match against Czechia and securing all 3 points. Czechia versus South Africa on the 18th of June is already a must-win game for both sides. Mexico versus South Korea on the 18th of June could decide who finishes top of the group. Group B is currently the most balanced group, with nobody gaining an early advantage. Switzerland and Canada are slightly favored to progress because of their recent tournament experience. The next round of fixtures becomes very important because a single win could immediately put a team at the top. At this stage, every team still has its destiny in its own hands. A victory in the next match day could create a clear gap at the top of the group. Echoes of the 1978 World Cup for Scotland, who find themselves in the privileged position of topping Group C after the first round of games, although the real test lies ahead in their next 2 games. Brazil were held by Morocco in East Rutherford, with Vinicius hauling Ancelotti's men level with a moment of brilliance on the half hour. The opening results leaves the group finely balanced, but the lie of the land should look clearer after the next round of matches. Next up for Scotland are Morocco, arguably their toughest rivals in terms of intensity and organization, as well as being the favorites to win the group. Brazil, meanwhile, are up against Haiti, a game they are expected to win. Co-hosts the United States and Australia both got their World Cup campaigns off to a positive start. Mauricio Pochettino's team gave the perfect answer to those who doubted them by putting 4 past Paraguay, and the Socceroos showed that they mean business as they eased past Turkey, with 20-year-old Nestori Irankunda becoming the country's youngest goalscorer at a World Cup. The USA and Australia will scrap it out for top spot in Seattle on Friday, while Paraguay and Turkey jostle for 3rd place. Germany produced one of the scorelines of World Cup 2026 so far, thrashing Curacao 7-1 in Houston. Felix Nemeka set the tone with an early goal before Kai Havertz scored twice, as Julian Nagelsmann's side stormed to the top of the group on goal difference, with Livano Komanensia scoring the smallest nation to ever compete's first ever World Cup goal. The second game was far tighter. Ecuador hit the woodwork twice and looked capable of extending their long unbeaten run, but a dramatic late strike from Amad Diallo gave Ivory Coast a 1-0 victory in Philadelphia. That leaves Germany and Ivory Coast level on 3 points, heading into a fascinating Matchday 2 meeting between the 2 winners. Victory for either side would all but guarantee qualification, while Ecuador and Curacao are already under pressure to avoid a second defeat. Sweden could hardly have asked for a better start to World Cup 2026. Graham Potter's side stormed to a 5-1 victory over Tunisia in Monterrey, scoring 5 goals in a World Cup match for the first time since 1938, and immediately taking control of Group F. Yasin Ayari was the star of the show with 2 goals, while Alexander Isak, Victor Gyökeres, and substitute Matthias Svanberg also found the net. The group's other opening match was far tighter. Japan and the Netherlands played out in competitive 2-2 draw, leaving both sides with a point, but also with work still to do heading into Matchday 2. That leaves Sweden alone at the top of the standings after the first round of games. Nobody has managed to gain an early edge in Group G after a remarkable opening round in which both matches ended level. Belgium and Egypt shared the points in Seattle. Iran and New Zealand followed suit in Los Angeles, leaving all 4 teams tied on 1 point. Egypt came close to a statement victory over Belgium after Imam Ashur fired the Pharaohs ahead. Pre-tournament favorite Spain was held to a shock 0-0 draw by World Cup debutante Cape Verde, while Uruguay and Saudi Arabia also shared the points in a 1-1 draw. As a result, all 4 teams are level after the opening round of matches. Cape Verde's historic first World Cup game could hardly have gone better. Goalkeeper Vozinha produced a string of saves as the African nation frustrated the European champions. France and Norway both opened with convincing victories, while Senegal and Iraq have work to do heading into Matchday 2. Mbappe and Holland shine on Matchday 1. France overcame a stubborn Senegal side 3-1 at MetLife Stadium. Defending champions opened with a comfortable 3-0 victory over Algeria in Miami. Lionel Messi provided the spark once again, scoring a hat-trick and helping Argentina control the match from start to finish. A few hours later, Austria matched Argentina's winning start. Ralf Rangnick's team recovered from an early scare to take all 3 points and move level with Argentina. At the top of the standings, Colombia produced one of the most convincing performances of the 2026 World Cup so far, defeating Uzbekistan 3-1 in Los Angeles. Earlier in the day, Portugal stumbled to a frustrating 1-1 draw against DR Congo in Houston. João Neves gave the Europeans an early lead, but Yohan Wissa equalized before halftime, and the African side held firm to claim a valuable point. The Three Lions were involved in one of the most entertaining games of the 2026 World Cup so far, defeating Croatia 4-2 in Dallas. Harry Kane scored twice to draw level with Gary Lineker's England World Cup scoring record. Ghana appeared destined to settle for a goalless draw against Panama before Caleb Urenki struck in the 95th minute to hand the Black Stars a dramatic 1-0 victory. The late winner transformed the Group L standings and gave Ghana a huge boost. The result leaves England top of the group on goal difference, with Ghana level on 3 points. That brought an end the first round of matches. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment. Which team was your favorite?